May the Lord bless the reading of his word. And if you, it's all his word. And it's all good. Literally. I don't just mean that figuratively, like, hey, it's all good. No, it's all good. It's all good. Shabbat Shalom. This morning, and Chag Hannukah Sameach. Chag Hannukah Sameach. It's Happy Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah. We are at the end of the celebration of this incredible feast of dedication. Tonight, we will light all 8 candles and let the full light of the menorah, the Hanukkah, shine in our homes. The regular reading cycle is Parshat Miketz. Miketz means at the end. And what it refers to is at the end of, according to the scriptures, it says 2 years of days. 2 years of days. The way that they translate that is 2 full years. But it says 2 years of days. What does that refer to? Well, to put everything in context, the end of last week's portion, a couple of folks in prison had some dreams, and they couldn't figure out what the dreams meant. Coincidentally, there's this guy in prison who just happens to know how to interpret dreams. Well, went to a class somewhere or something like that, took a dream interpretation class, ends up in prison, and so now he's there, and so the Pharaoh's baker and the Pharaoh's cupbearer go to Joseph and tell him about these dreams that they've been having. Well, sure enough, God gives Joseph the interpretation of these dreams, and he relates that back to the baker first, and then the cupbearer. Actually, I think it was the cupbearer first, and then the baker. Either way, doesn't matter. They both come true. And the baker gets executed. The cupbearer gets restored to his position. And the only thing, for payment, because usually he got a couple chickens and goats and stuff like that, usually when he was outside of prison, the only payment he asked for was, hey, look, remember me to Pharaoh. Okay? That was the end of last week's portion. This morning's portion says, and at the end of 2 years. So now it's been 2 full years since the cupbearer has been restored. Where's Joseph? He's still in prison. Okay? Because the cupbearer didn't remember him to Pharaoh when he got out like he said he would. So 2 years later is where we are right now. And sure enough, Pharaoh has a dream. And this is where we pick up in this morning's portion. The scriptures today are all about dreams. Okay? That's what runs through the Torah, the Haftarah, and the Brit Hadashah portion. In the Torah portion this morning, Pharaoh has his dream. He actually has 2 dreams. Okay? Turns out they end up meaning the same thing, but he's got 2 dreams. In our Haftarah portion, who has the dream? Solomon. It never really occurs to us that when Solomon asked for his famous request, give me wisdom, or if you really know what the scripture says, give me a listening heart, a lev shomea, that whole sequence is a dream. It's a dream. We don't really think about that. It's like the Newhart show, where after 1,400 seasons, he wakes up, the whole thing was a dream. But we don't think about that. And in the Brit Hadashah portion, who has the dream in the Brit Hadashah portion? Pilate's wife, who says that she's been having this dream, and Pilate's not supposed to do anything to this righteous man. So all 3 portions have this dream. There's no doubt. In fact, I started out last week, before I introduced Jonathan, with the fact that God speaks to us in all kinds of different ways. Often, he can speak to us through dreams. Through dreams. But I'm not going to talk about dreams this morning. Not really. What I want to talk about this morning is the Feast of Dedication, which does tie into a dream, which I'll talk about sort of at the end. But I was talking with Kim about this, and Kim reminded me that Hanukkah only comes once a year. Now, For the record, I eat like it comes every couple of months. But really, it only comes once a year. And so if I don't talk about Hannukah today, I'm going to miss out on the opportunity, and I'll have to wait until next year to talk about it again. So this morning, I want to talk about Hannukah, in case you hadn't figured that out from the worship this morning. Okay? There's only one place it talks about Scripture, in the Scripture, that talks about Hannukah. Now, for some of you, this might be a review. You may have heard me speak about this before. For others, this will be completely new. For others, there'll be bits and pieces that are review, but some new stuff added to it. Even if this is a story that you have heard before, even if you know verbatim everything I'm already going to say, there's still benefit to hearing it again. God brings us through this cycle of feasts and festivals every year because precisely He wants us to remember these same things over and over and over again so we don't forget them. So even if you've heard this entire message before, there's still benefit to hearing it again. So I'm going to do it anyway. Okay? There's only one place that the Feast of Dedication appears. Okay? It's not in the Tanakh, the Old Testament. It's only found in the New Testament. Okay? The reference is John chapter 10, verse 22. John chapter 10, verse 22. The only place in the entire Scriptures that talks about the Feast of Dedication. In fact, John 10:22 is the only place in the entire New Testament that the Greek word for dedication is used. It's the only place. Okay? The Greek word there is enkainia. It means dedication or consecration, and when you look it up in the dictionary, the Greek dictionary, it specifically is a reference to the Feast of Dedication, or the Festival of Lights. So Hannukah, while not mentioned in the Tanakh, is mentioned and celebrated in the Brit Hadashah. So what does that mean? It's not in the Tanakh. It is in the New Testament. What does that mean? That means that the events that took place that caused us to celebrate this Festival of Lights, this Feast of Dedication, occurred in between. In between. So, when we say that the intertestamental period was a period of 400 years of silence, baloney. God was still working. He was still doing stuff. Yeshua recognizes that as he's celebrating the Feast of Dedication. Okay? He remembered all this stuff. Now, why is that significant? Well, apart from the fact that God is never really silent, it means that there were significant things that happened during that time. It also means that Yeshua endorsed those things by celebrating this festival. If he celebrated it, if he recognized it, shouldn't we do the same? Shouldn't we understand what was going on? Okay? But the other part of this is that we have to remember that this is one of the feasts that were celebrated. Yeshua doesn't only remember it. He doesn't only recognize it. He doesn't only celebrate it. But like all of the feasts and the festivals, Yeshua, the Messiah, fulfilled it. He fulfilled it. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk a lot about that today. There are two important pieces of information that we get from John chapter 10, verse 22 and 23. Okay? John chapter 10, verses 22 and 23. The first thing is that he actually celebrated the festival. The second is that he was at Solomon's porch on that day. Okay? That's important. Do you know why that's important? Hold on to your socks and shoes, because I'm going to tell you by the end of today. Okay? So, the only way we're going to know why that's important, okay, is if we fully understand the story behind Hannukah. So, let's pray. And then we'll look at the history behind this important feast. Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King, we are grateful for your word. We're grateful for the things that are not in your word that still reveal who you are. We're thankful for the fact that Yeshua, the Messiah, celebrated your feasts and festivals because they're his feasts and festivals. And we're grateful for the fact that you've brought us here today to hear about the Feast of Dedication, an incredible time in your history, Lord, that you would have us learn about this morning. We praise you, Father. We worship you in the name of your Son, Yeshua the Messiah. Amen.
It was the feast of Hannukah at Yerushalayim. It was winter, and Yeshua was walking in Shlomo's porch. The Yehudim therefore came around him and said to him, "How long will you hold us in suspense? If you are the Messiah, tell us plainly." To fully appreciate the import of this account, you must first understand Hannukah. In 167 BC, Antiochus Epiphanes ordered an altar to Zeus erected in the Holy Temple at Jerusalem. He outlawed circumcision, teaching and learning scripture upon pain of death. Many Jews were slaughtered. The final straw for the followers of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob came when Antiochus ordered pigs to be sacrificed on the holy altar, defiling it. Outraged, this action sparked a huge revolt. Matthasyahu, a Jewish Cohen, and his 5 sons, Yochanan, Simeon, Eleazar, Jonathan, and Judah, led a rebellion against Antiochus. Judah became known as Yehudah HaMaccabee, Judah the Hammer. By 166 BC, Matthasyahu had died, and